ANC North West Congress, which is currently underway. The NEC has withdrawn 52 votes to try and quell looming legal battles. The interim regional committee and the interim provincial committee members will not participate in voting. The NEC has also taken charge of the conference until a new PEC is elected. Professor André Duvenhage, a political analyst with the North West University, joins us now to give his view on the conference. A very good evening to you, Professor. Thank you for your time. I mean, a lot has come out in the later part of this evening. There's also, a court matter which is expected to sit in around 30 minutes from now from disgruntled delegates. And the role of the IPC was also clearly ironed out this evening as the ANC leaders briefed the media. Talk to us about your remarks or perhaps your observation around this conference as it gets underway.
Good evening, Paul. Yes, we know that the conference were already rescheduled 3 times. We are now busy with the 4th time, and it was in trouble as a result of a court case. Now, it seems as if the court case was settled, and as you mentioned, 50-plus people were out of the framework when it comes to voting. But again, we must take into consideration, we are talking about anything between 700 and 1,000 people that are in a position to vote. So the 50-plus is not going to have such a big impact. What is, however, problematic is the undercurrents. Now, there are conflicting signals coming from the ANC. One say there is a court case pending, the others say no, there's no such court case, and the conference can continue. My own assessment is that the proper process were followed. I agree with the courts that the 52 people of the interim structures shouldn't be in a position to vote. They weren't elected, so I'm in agreement with that one. But I think for the rest, there were due process followed, but I think there are interest groups that are concerned about the elective process and the possible outcome and how this may influence their future. I'm reading that court cases are used in a form of a reverse Stalingrad strategy to undermine the functioning of the conference and the outcome. Just from a statistical perspective, there were initially 360 branches forward by committees, 300 were accredited, and the threshold is 282. So I can see no big legal problems for the conference not to continue. And I'm still of the opinion that the 2 main rivals are going to be Bushimape and Nonu Moloi. But it will be interesting to see how the other 3 candidates are going to position or reposition themselves.
The possible outcome will be significant, especially looking to, heading to conference in December, and also just looking at the climate within the Northwest, the many challenges that the province faces in terms of leadership, which, of course, is one very important matter that needs to be cleared.
Yeah, Paul, the problem is not only about the ANC, but the ANC is, in a way, the origin of the bigger problems in Northwest. As a province, the provincial structures are falling apart, local government is falling apart. The province, generally speaking, is in a real mess. And it has a lot to do with leadership, or rather lack of leadership, and an unstable ANC, where there's faction fights. They are not in a position to elect proper leadership. And that is why it is so critically important, not only with the eye on the election towards the end of the year, but also for stability in the province, that we have an elected provincial executive committee to take the province forward. To my assessment, is even more important than going to the ANC conference towards the end of the year. But yes, Northwest is an important province, and traditionally it was aligned with the so-called Premier League, with the Zuma group. At the moment, it seems more likely that it may end up closer to the Ramaphosa lines. And I think Mr. Ramaphosa is going to need that support if he would like to survive the national conference towards the end of the year.
During the keynote opening address, Deputy President Didi Mabuza spoke to how the organization is strained toward an inward focus, and also saying that there are those who are looking to gain power for their own selfish reasons. He also warned against the dangers of factionalism. What did you make of his sentiment as he spoke about what needs to happen in the ANC in the Northwest and the importance of the conference?
Well, I agree completely with that assessment, but I think it is important to say that this is not unique to the Northwest province alone. This is a phenomenon that is prominent throughout the ANC. What is, however, problematic within Northwest was their inability to elect leadership, and that is also the situation in the Free State, where they had an election, but then the election was disqualified. At this point, we still need provincial elections in Northwest, Free State and the Western Cape. And although the Western Cape is a smaller province, I think the three of them can have an important influence on the outcome of December. But I'm in agreement, there's a lot of faction fights. We have seen what happened in KZN. Basically, KZN changed completely towards the RET lines, and they are the biggest province in the ANC, and that must be a concern to Mr. Ramaphosa and his group. But I think the chance